In apartheid South Africa, your racial classification shaped every part of your life, from where you could live, who you could marry, and even what jobs you could have. But the system wasn't as rigid as it seemed. It was full of cracks and contradictions. Today, we're exploring the strange world of race classifications, the tests, inspections, and the quiet desperation of those who try to change their race just to survive. Before we delve into how they achieved this, let's travel back to South Africa in 1950, the year the government enacted the Population Registration Act. This law required every citizen to be officially classified and registered according to their race. At the time, the law recognized three main racial categories: white, colored, and black/native. Indians were originally grouped under colored until a fourth category was later created for them. Each of these groups lived under different rules, rights, and restrictions. Most importantly, they were never meant to mix. What made the system especially strange is that your race wasn't always determined by genetics or ancestry. Instead, the government used a series of tests to decide where you belonged. These included things like the color of your skin, the texture of your hair, the shape of your nose, and even your knowledge of Afrikaans. Then there were stranger categories like what kind of music you listened to or whether you drank tea or beer. The first and probably most famous test was the pencil test. It was exactly like what it sounds. An official would take an ordinary pencil, place it into your hair. If the hair slid through and fell out easily, the person might be considered white. But if it stayed, got caught in curls or coils, then you could be colored or even black. The pencil test was only the beginning. Language played a huge role too. If you spoke Afrikaans fluently, and if you had the right accent, it helped your chances of being seen as white or at least colored. But if you spoke Xhosa or Zulu or any other African language, you were often classified as black, no matter what you looked like. Then came the lifestyle questions. They would ask you, what kind of food do you eat? What kind of music do you play? And if your furniture was European enough. These little details, everyday things, were used to build a racial profile. And the government officials who ran these tests took their job very seriously. They were trained to observe and make decisions. They'd visit homes, schools, and workplaces, sometimes without warning. They'd ask questions, take notes, and then quietly decide what race you were. Today these tests sound ridiculous, but for thousands of people, they were serious and terrifying. Your results could change your life. You could be taken away from your family, lose your job, or be forced to move to a different place. For some, especially those who were racially ambiguous, the tests were a lottery ticket. If you could pass for white or colored, you could apply for racial reclassification. If your application was approved, you suddenly had access to better schools, safer housing, and a little more freedom. But there was a cost. Passing reclassification often meant leaving your family and community behind. You also lived in fear, in case people would find out your secret. One of the most famous cases is that of Sandra Laing. She was born in the 1950s to white Afrikaner parents. Sandra had darker skin and tightly curled hair. When she was 10 years old, she was reclassified from white to colored, a decision that tore her family apart and changed her life forever. Her parents went to court, fighting to prove that she was their biological daughter. But under apartheid law, appearance mattered way more than biology. What I find interesting is that although apartheid is over, the effects of racial classification still linger in how people see themselves and how communities are shaped today. Which one of these tests or rules surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments and tell me what you'd like to see next.